Today we're gonna be doing some carnivore meal prep. I want to stock this fridge and freezer. One of the things I love about carnivore is just how easy it is. We're typically eating like grilled meats, eggs, butter, so it couldn't be more simple. But you know, every once in a while I wanna jazz it up a bit. So I've got a couple of recipes that I wanna experiment with today. I'm usually boiling about a dozen eggs, and I just got a whole ribeye from Costco, so let's cut that up. I've also got some smoked ham hocks in the crock pot. I did that overnight. I was able to find them for 50% off at the grocery store. So I was like, why the heck not? They were like $3.50 for a package. So got 2 of those. I think I'm gonna put together some kind of meat soup, but I need to remove all the bones before we can do that because we don't wanna be gnawing on any bones. What I like about getting the whole ribeye from Costco is then I can control the size of each steak. I enjoy cutting my own meat. This is choice, so middle of the road as far as quality goes, but I do have to say that this quality is so much higher than the choice ribeyes that I'm able to get at my local grocery store, so that's why we continue to cut these ourselves. So there's a couple of ways you can get these. You can go to your local Costco, they usually sell them there, or you can go to your Costco business center. They're a little bit cheaper over there. I was able to get a whole ribeye for $11.19 a pound the other day, and I got this one for $11.99 a pound at my local Costco. So save a few cents if you want to do that. If you're close to a Costco business center, it's worth it. We first discovered cutting our own meat last summer. We watched a bunch of Butchered Wizard videos, and now we do it a lot, but we were doing it with the butcher knife at first. So we decided to invest in this 10-inch breaking knife. This thing is amazing, inexpensive, but it just makes the job so much easier. Final note about the whole ribeye. The Costco whole ribeye is not blade tenderized. I've gotten a lot of comments on my short form content about how they don't buy Costco steaks because they are blade tenderized. So what is that? When you blade tenderize a steak, you're basically cutting little holes in it to make it more tender, but that can introduce bacteria in it. But that is only done to the pre-cut steaks, not to the whole ribeye. So that's just another reason to cut them yourself. I ended up getting 14 steaks out of a little less than 18 pounds of whole ribeye. Some are thick cut, some are thinner. You know, a little bit of variation. My husband likes the thicker cut ones. So now it's time to vacuum seal all these. I've got the most basic bitch model of the food saver. Why get anything fancier? This vacuum seals, it does what it needs to do. And I think it was like 70, 80 bucks, maybe less. I don't even remember, but it works really well. I had to take an intermission to feed the boys dinner, and I took that time to finish up vacuum sealing the steaks, peeling the eggs, and deboning the ham hocks. By the time I was finished with that and cleaned up this kitchen, it was getting late, and Mama needs her rest, so I went to sleep. So we are back to meal prep, day 2, bright and fresh. First off, I'm going to make some chocolate butter bites using chocolate element salt, and I'd like to thank Element for sponsoring today's video. So let me tell you all about them while I gather the ingredients I need. Element is an electrolyte mix that has everything you need and nothing you don't. With 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, and 60 milligrams of magnesium. I'm typically doing a packet of their raw unflavored in 16 ounces of water first thing in the morning, but they have 7 other delicious flavors, and sometimes they have special edition flavors. And you don't always have to drink your electrolytes, like today we're using them in a recipe. Right now, Element is offering my viewers a free sample pack with any order. That's 8 single serving packets free with any Element order. Head over to drinkelement.com/Jenny Mitich, that's DRINKLMNT.com/Jenny Mitich, and get your free sample pack with any order today. A lot of people really like to do brown butter bites, but I'm not really into the taste of brown butter. Instead, what I'm going to do is just melt the butter in this pan and then immediately pour it into a measuring cup. I've sprinkled some chocolate element into each of these silicone molds, and I'm going to fill them with the melted butter. I finish by sprinkling some more of the chocolate element on top. I'm gonna let these harden up almost completely, and then I'll probably go in and sprinkle them with a little bit more of the chocolate salt. I'm gonna use 2 to 3 packets of the chocolate element. Next up, I'm gonna do a batch of my carnivore ice cream. Now, I have not made this since January because it's like all dairy. And I'm really trying to not do too much dairy in my version of the carnivore diet. But I've been getting lots of tips from you about what I can add to the ice cream in order to make it more scoopable after it's been frozen overnight. It's really tasty, but it's just hard as a rock when you're trying to scoop it, and that doesn't make it very fun to eat. So we're gonna try a secret ingredient today and see if it works. I'll put a link in the description to the base recipe that I found online for like keto ice cream. I've basically followed this recipe, but I've added a couple of things to doctor it up. First, we're gonna do 1.5 cups of heavy cream, 1.5 cups of half and half, a tablespoon of butter, half a cup of allulose, and a dash of salt. I'm going to heat this on low until it's steaming, but not really bubbling yet. On the side here, I have 5 egg yolks, freshly cracked. After turning off the heat, I'm going to get a ladle of this hot mixture. It's always fun to try to figure out how to navigate around the camera, so this is a bit awkward. I'm going to very messily take a small ladle of the mixture and pour it into the egg yolks while whisking them. This process is called tempering, and it will ensure that the egg yolks don't cook into chunks. You're basically raising the temperature of the egg yolks to the same temperature of the cream mix. One more ladle and some more whisking, and then I can add the egg yolks directly to the mix. Then turn the burner back on and simmer on low. Now I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. You could also use vanilla bean here if you'd like. I'm also going to add a cinnamon stick. I like to let this soak in the mix for a while to add an undertone of flavor. Finally, our special ingredient to hopefully make it more scoopable, 1.5 teaspoons of vodka. And yes, I realize that alcohol is not carnivore, but it's only 1.5 teaspoons, and it's really inconsequential in the grand scheme of things. And if it makes this ice cream more scoopable, I'm gonna say it's worth it. When the mix coats the back of a spoon, it's ready. The last step before cooling is to strain the mix. You're going to want to make sure you get out any chunky bits before you run it through your ice cream maker. This batch turned out really good. I'm just gonna throw this cinnamon stick back in the mix so that it can give it some more flavor while it cools. Now I'm gonna put this into the fridge to cool. I've got a second batch in here that doesn't have any vodka in it, so we can see, will the vodka make the ice cream more scoopable? It's our little experiment. Finally, let's move into some ground beef and ground chicken recipes. We're gonna start by making some burgers. I'm making 3 different varieties. We're gonna do a blue cheese, we're gonna do a cheddar and bacon, and a ham and cheese. I've got 5 pounds of Ozark Wagyu ground beef. I think I've mentioned in the past that I've almost exclusively been using this ground beef since December. It is so frickin' delicious, and it's the same cost as a pound of grass-fed organic ground beef at the grocery store, so why not? I've got a 15% off coupon code in the description if you wanna give them a try, but we are gonna be using 5 pounds of this for our burgers today. I think I'm gonna try to make 12 burgers, so 4 of each flavor, and then I can freeze them into little 2-packs. We'll see how they end up. I think it'll be like 6 or 7 ounces a piece. That's fine, right? A little less than half a pound. Plus the other ingredients, so maybe it'll be like a half-pound burger then. I'm gonna get this ground beef out of the package and see just how much we have, and then divide that into 3 batches. Next, I'm gonna add a lot of salt to the ground beef and mix it up. So now let's start with the blue cheese, and as I was getting the blue cheese out of the fridge, I realized that I had a package of pancetta as well. So let's do blue cheese and pancetta for the first set of burgers. These are looking so good. I'm going to use this parchment sheet to separate the different layers of burgers for now. Oof, I think these are gonna be super delicious. I love blue cheese. Next, let's do the ham and cheese. This is Tillamook sharp cheddar, a block of it, and then I just cut it up, and then some ham that I found at the grocery store for really cheap. Same thing, 4 burgers, layer another piece of parchment on top of it. And finally, let's do some cheddar and bacon burgers. Same cheese as the ham and cheese, with about 7 slices of bacon cut up from yesterday's breakfast. I'm gonna leave out 2 of those blue cheese and pancetta burgers because I wanna eat those tonight, but I'm going to vacuum seal the rest of them into packs of 2 and get those into the freezer. Next are 2 meatball recipes. One is chicken, one is ground beef. I got the chicken meatball recipe from Meat Dad on Instagram. I will link the video in the description below. And then the ground beef meatball recipe I just kind of threw together on my own. For the ground beef meatballs, we're gonna use 2 pounds of the Ozark Wagyu ground beef. Add some salt, about half a cup of ground pork rinds, half a cup of grated cotija, I grated this myself, and some pecorino romano. This one does not have any anti-caking agents in it. And mix that in with the ground beef. And oops, I almost forgot the egg. Gotta make sure we have that. Mix everything well. I'm aiming for 2-ounce meatballs, and I'm going to freeze them into servings of 6. All right, last one. Let's get these over to the side and start working on the chicken meatballs. For the chicken meatballs, we're going to take 2 pounds of ground chicken and then add the rest of the ground up pork rinds. It's about half a cup. And then I'm gonna add about half a cup of this pecorino. I'm also gonna add 1 egg, and then we're just gonna put this to the side for a minute. Next, we gotta make our filling. Let's take our cut up ham and add in some chunks of cream cheese. Then we're gonna mix this up with our hands. This is really messy, but it helps everything stick together. Next, we're gonna take some of this Laughing Cow spreadable cheese and kind of rip it up into little chunks and then mix that into the ham and cream cheese mixture. Now it's time to mix up the ground chicken. Make sure you do that really well. And now let's make our meatballs. I'm gonna ball up the ham and cheese mix first so I can see about how many meatballs I need to make. Looks like we ended up with 9, so I'm gonna take some of this ground chicken and flatten it out in my hand and then wrap it around the ham and cheese mix. This got easier with practice. I had some ground chicken left over, so I ended up taking 3 of the Laughing Cow packages and just stuffing the center of those with cheese. So we'll have some chicken and cheese meatballs as well. Ooh, I have a really fun idea. Let's roll most of these in some of that pecorino romano. Ground chicken is always a little bit wet, and I think this will help everything bind together better. Let's leave 3 of them without any of the pecorino romano so we can see how they taste on their own. We got a lot of meal prep done today. We ended up with 3 packages of the ground beef meatballs, 4 packages of the chicken meatballs, 12 burgers. We made the base for the carnivore ice cream. We made the chocolate element butter bites. And then yesterday we hard-boiled a dozen eggs and we cut 14 steaks out of that whole ribeye. And then we also deboned those ham hocks so I can use that for another recipe. The carnivore ice cream mix is in the fridge. We're gonna have to wait until tomorrow morning to make that, so I'll see you in a minute. I'm so excited. Is it gonna work? Is it gonna work? Is it gonna be scoopable? Ugh, I've tried this recipe like 6 times. Kind of driving me crazy, but I think the vodka will do the trick. We're gonna find out in a minute.
Who's this?
Leave it be.
You're the guy.
So cool. All right, y'all, moment of truth. Scoop test time. Yeah, it's pretty good. I love this ice cream. And that hint of cinnamon just ties everything together. I ate the entire other one that was made without the vodka in it. And I have to say, I think that one scooped easier. I think the allulose alone, half a cup of allulose helps to soften up the ice cream when it's been frozen. Got a little busy, so this one's been frozen a bit longer, but it is still easy. You can scoop it out, so the vodka does work too. I would probably add a tablespoon next time, just to get more of the effects. I did 1.5 teaspoons this last time, so. That's it, folks. I hope you enjoyed prepping meals with me. My freezer's so full now, I need to eat some of this food, so I am going to pull out some steaks and some burgers and get cooking. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below if you have any questions, and I'll see you next time.